I'm ready.
Everybody ready? Okay. All right, let's call this meeting to order. Let's have roll call.
Agnes Varnarski, Chairperson.
Present.
Dana Syvertson.
Here.
John Kamish.
Here.
Pete Hahn.
Here.
Seth Marcus.
Here.
I'm Jill Moskell. We're not sure if Ed's coming or not. We hope so, but we do have a quorum.
Okay. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting of January 9th.
I'll make the motion that we approve the great minutes that were crafted by Jill.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
So old business, update on volunteer workday schedules. So we just had our first workday at Hillcrest Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you know, the council approved removing buckthorn all around Hillcrest Lake. And so because of that, we're going to be moving, well, two reasons, but we're moving our February 23rd workday to this Sunday. One reason is because Dana and I will be out of town. The second reason is that we hope that the lake and the slough will be frozen. We're going to have single-digit temperatures over the next couple of days. So we hope that we can get a lot of buckthorn removed from the shoreline. And we've already had confirmation from several volunteers that they'll be able to make it even though it's on and off Sunday. I'll have a sled so we can actually move. If the snow still stays, we can move some of that buckthorn from one end to the other. So we can cover a lot of ground. Of course, we'll have a fire too.
Where are you going to start?
You know, we're going to keep the same burn scar that we had so we don't have too many burn scars. We'll just work our way out from where we were. And the sled will make it possible to just drag some of those branches over to the fire. So,
John, to get your input on this, we thought we'd use the same burn scar.
Sure.
yeah,
Does that make sense? So we don't start another one?
Yeah. No.
And then we just slide
fewer the-
everything in?
Fewer the better.
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
sure.
All right, cool. We also have 3 workdays in May. So,
For planting.
mhm.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
3 workdays for May, are you saying around Hillcrest Lake?
No, just, I'm
Just
saying.
that
Just
there are
That
3.
month
Okay.
has 3 workdays in it.
Okay. Okay, next is the update on the Lycée Français.
There is nothing new to report at this point.
Okay.
While we're talking about high schools, I don't see Wheeling on there, so I'll just.
Oh, okay.
can I
Yeah,
forget?
go ahead.
So we're going to give a talk at Wheeling High School on March 4th.
Okay,
um,
let's remind me.
And then we're going to be working with the class at Wheeling High School to do a program there to help them get the courtyard planted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an actively ongoing project.
And planted with what? Are we supplying plants, or are they purchasing, or?
They did get some funding, but the details have not yet been worked out.
Yeah, they have received some funding for signage, and I think the teacher was talking about maybe growing some seedlings themselves. And of course, we'll help in any way we can, but
Seth, has anything like the size of the plot or anything like that been figured out yet, or is
No.
this all that's going to come in a meeting?
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Okay, all right.
great.
And what are you presenting on the 4th?
It's an introductory lecture to what we do.
Okay. And what time?
We have to be there at 8:30 in the morning. I think we're supposed to talk for about a half hour, and then we're supposed to sort of lead into, we start with just generally what we do and what the PHNRC is, but then talk about how we're going to work with them for their program at their school.
So it's the same presentation we gave last year to the previous class, but just we're going to extrapolate and talk to them about the plans for their,
Exactly.
Okay.
I won't be able to make that one. You got that
Yeah.
message, right? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
If anybody else wants to be there,
I'll have to just check the schedule for.
it's a Wednesday, correct? It's a Wednesday.
Correct, yes.
Great, thank you, Seth. Okay, next is the Prospect Heights Public Library Park District Programs. Nature Speaks.
Okay, Nature Speaks on the April 22nd, which will be the spring speaker. We had tentatively lined up Midwest Grows Green. The guy who is the main presenter and the author of that whole Safe Parks program turns out he's taking a 6-month sabbatical. And so they're looking to hire a replacement, and his suggestion was that the replacement could give that presentation. I'm not so sure about that. So I would much rather wait till he comes back. He's a really good speaker, and schedule them for like in the summer or the fall, to do that presentation. In the meantime, Isabella Redolinsky has reached out to us, and that was through our friend Abigail at the Field Museum. And she suggested that Isabel possibly give a talk. And she has a couple of programs that she can give on restoration and climate change. And that sounds very interesting, so I'm talking to her to try to understand what that program would be about. And then Terry from the library also came up with a suggestion of a guy who is, his name is Glenn Adelson. He's a itinerant botanist and director of environmental studies at Lake Forest College. He's a photographer, and he has two presentations that he can give. One is on the Worldwide Wildflower Tour, and the other one is the astonishing wisdom of wildflowers. And it's geared towards local conditions. He's supposed to be a very good speaker. Certainly another possibility, if not for April Earth Day. I mean, that's Earth Day slot. That's you know, kind of like the key feature of that.
We should say that he could also do it in June.
He could do it in June as well, so I would be interested in what you guys thought about all this, and sort of help me make a decision on this, which way to go. I do have a couple of sheets on this guy. I'll pass them down to you.
Oh, great.
And I can forward the links
Yeah.
to you as well, so you can go in and look at all of his materials. His stipend is higher than what we would normally pay, but
The library pays.
Library would, said that they could find a way to fund the rest of it, so. They both look good.
I do.
So it's not a decision we have to make right now, but we do have to probably by Monday decide so that I can get Terry information for her newsletter that has to go out.
Well, why don't we make a decision now?
Well, will you have more information from Isabel by Monday?
Or-
Yeah, I would think I'd have it by tomorrow, and I could just forward it on to you guys.
Just what sort of the substance of the
Okay.
presentation.
We can
I-
communicate via email.
We could, yeah. I mean, personally, I think if Isa gave one in, April, and then maybe this guy does it in June.
Yeah, I
That-
think that's probably a good, I mean, this one's sort of more geared towards the season, with the flowers are going to be
Right.
more along, in bloom as opposed to berries. So that might be ultimately the way to go. So I'll send you the links for this guy's information, and you can look at all of his background. And then as soon as I hear from Isabel, I'll pass that information on to you as well. All right?
Sounds
Thank
good.
The Fly a Kite Day. I passed the artwork around. That was just a suggestion on the kite. They had those little three logos just stacked originally, but we're the fourth logo adding on to that. So, I don't know, it seemed to make some sense to me, and I ran it by them, and they liked it, so they're asking for the files, so unless
You guys-
anyone has any objections to that.
Will the kite be red?
Yeah, that's the color of the kite, and the logos are white.
I see.
That's the way they do it, so.
So it looked just like that last year, but the three logos were stacked
They were stacked in a row on three.
in the center.
Looks good.
So we-
Okay, so I'll follow up with her on that. The Midwest Grows Green, we've already spoke about. New summer programs for the Park District. None of us had any more ideas or suggestions for that, so I'd say let's just leave it like that, and we just have the summer camp and no new programs.
Okay.
Other than the bird walks that are
Well, the
already.
bird walks are in the spring, so.
Yeah, spring and fall. So Nothing in the
All
summer.
right, so I'll follow up with Marcy on that.
Okay.
All right.
Next to the seed greenhouse program. So all of our seeds are tucked away in their trays. We'll be putting the trays into the greenhouse, the main greenhouse in February 28th. And then the secondary greenhouse, we've actually applied for a text amendment to the ordinance to allow a temporary structure on the property for less than 60 days each year. And so we've sent out letters to the local residents and followed that whole protocol with the PZBA, and we have a meeting with them on February 27th, I believe at 7 PM, where they will decide if that secondary greenhouse will be allowed. So we'll see.
What's the time of that meeting?
I believe
Is that a
it's,
public hearing?
it's a public hearing, yeah.
I think it's 6:30.
If this is approved, does this mean every year
Every
that
year.
you'd have to reapply, or every year you can utilize the second?
Every year, we would have to
greenhouse?
get a new permit, but the ordinance would be in place, so we would not have to go through that whole process of the application and notifying all the residents and having a public hearing. But we would need to notify and apply for a permit and state exactly the dates, which may change during the season, like April to May 15th. So hopefully that gets approved, and it would just be there for less than 60 days. You have to put it up and take it down each year, but at least it could house all of those plants.
Be great.
So it does get approved. I'll need some help to put that thing up in
Yeah.
April.
Well, we did the big one, you and I, so.
And Seth,
And Seth, yeah.
In the snow, we put up that greenhouse. And the wind.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Bloody.
Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. We followed all the protocols and written letters, so we'll see. Okay, new business.
Okay, the Peggy Montez Unsung Hero Award, our little Agnes. Is going to be presented with that award, what is that, March
5th,
March 5th?
at a breakfast.
At a breakfast at downtown with 17 other recipients of that award. Agnes was nominated by the mayor and Isabella Redolinsky. And it's a real feather in our cap, but I think it's
An honor.
also, it's a feather in her cap as well.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Earned, well earned.
Well
Oh,
earned, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to be there for the
Great.
breakfast.
Wonderful. Yeah. Be really nice to meet, especially to be in the room with so many wonderful women that have contributed to so many great things in our county.
Where does that take place?
Chicago Cultural Center, 78 West Washington Street. Yeah, I think it's the
It's the old
Bradley
library.
Preston Room or something.
Okay.
And what time is that at?
8 o'clock to 9:30
In the morning.
in the
8
morning.
p.m.?
PM.
That makes it tough.
It's a breakfast,
It's a
It's a
Thursday.
breakfast. It's a
right?
Thursday.
Breakfast all
Mhm.
day.
From 8:30 to 10:30. Yep.
It's a beautiful room.
Did you say 8 or 8:30?
I think 8:30.
No, I thought it was 8 to 9:30 because I got the invitation
Oh,
just
It's
the other
possible.
day.
yeah.
It's the most
Okay.
beautiful room in Chicago.
Okay, moving on. The management plan protocol for the North Slough and the lake. And we could combine that with C there, the winter workdays, the slough, the lake, and beyond. As we said, we started the work there. It was a really productive work day. We took down quite a bit of buckthorn right in front of John's house. We thought that was the best place to start. It was amazing how difficult it was to get the fire going, but once it did,
Yeah.
it completely turned that to ash in just a few hours, so. The workday went on without incident. It was really actually a lot of fun. It was refreshing to be in a new place. It's especially good because we can't do any damage to the turf, I mean, the soil underneath it at this point, so it gives us a nice place to work without ruining anything that we've done at any of the other sites, so. We're looking forward to working there this weekend on the speeded up workday, and that's about it.
When would we start planting the area?
May.
Before we do that, I think we should review the plan and
Okay.
the plot of everything and pathways and all the stuff that needs to be incorporated.
Sure.
And just, you know.
Definitely.
Make it very user-friendly to the residents and all that.
Right, because that area would be sort of like a little test plot planted
Right.
first, and then all the other residents would be included, and
What do you guys think about maybe, maybe on that first day of planting, or even the workday before, maybe inviting residents to come out and review on site?
I think that's a great idea. Get their input, see what they want to see, what they don't
Right.
want to see.
Mm-hmm.
See if we need to incorporate other things other than prairie plants, maybe some more trees or something. Tell them about how we're going to plant the shoreline. And that's especially the northwest corner is, to me, that's the most critical part of that whole area. It's just eroding away horribly, and the sooner we get stuff in there, the better.
Sure, definitely,
And everything else can kind of build off of that.
right,
Yeah, no, I think the resident
Okay.
is important.
that's great.
All right, we'll try to look at the calendar and see when all that would make sense.
And
Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
And I'll send you some information too that I've recently come across too with really great ideas for shoreline. Sort of similar to when we did the shoreline at the slough, the Morton Arboretum came up with this, they had like a map of all the plants and where they would go and what the requirements are. I actually came across the Chicago Botanic Garden website where they have all the mappings and they have all the species listed and exactly what the requirements are and how they did it. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And as far as the plants, especially the shoreline plants, I've also acquired those, the warrior sedges, so.
If we're going to start planting in May, and Earth Day is April 22nd, maybe we could tie it in during that week, you know, Earth Day,
I
and get
love that
everybody
idea.
into the spirit of the thing, and,
Yeah.
I'm just concerned about frost, and I
No,
just.
the resident
No, just
meeting
the
on
resident
site.
meeting.
Oh, the resident meeting, yes,
Yeah.
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 just
Yeah, that's
tie
a
it
great
in with
idea.
that.
Mhm.
I can't recall if we have a work day before or after Earth Day, but
We'll have to look at that.
It's on the week, it's Earth Day starts on Tuesday, and it's on that Sunday before.
okay,
So the 22nd is Earth Day, I think it's the 19th is our work day.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now, how can we announce that to the residents around? I mean, I don't think we can do flyers and stuff. A listing, a letter, or something we can send?
And do a postcard and send it out.
We'll go through that with
I guess
Peter.
a mailer or a drop-off, something like that would be. I mean, how do we notify the residents of like a bird and stuff?
Oh, but that's
We have
reverse
Peter doing a
911.
reverse 911 call.
Oh, so that's just.
For
He
burns.
asked about how we notify people about the burns.
Oh,
It's a reverse.
So we're just
911.
thinking of how that would be possible to notify the residents maybe of a meeting around the lake in April.
you want a meeting?
Well, just like.
Well, on a workday, just to get resident input about what the,
And I would say direct mail,
direct mail?
Yeah, okay,
that we did for
right,
the meeting we had.
right, okay. All right, so
We'll
we
set
could
that up
just
with-
do a postcard and put a stamp
And
on
we'll
it.
set that, well, not us, I mean, we'd do it through the city.
Yeah, we would give that to you to mail out?
Yeah, whatever you want, and then we just mail it out.
Yeah,
The
okay.
Same address list from before, so.
Yeah, okay. Thanks,
Okay,
Peter.
great.
Okay. Update on ComEd. We have a meeting scheduled with Sarah Race on the 29th of April at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sorry, what was that date again?
April 29th.
Okay,
She's coming out to just sort of walk through the sites, and if anybody wants to come along,
What day is that?
it's a Wednesday.
Oh, I can do it.
great.
So is the idea of that they would then potentially fund?
I have no idea where it would go from there, but
Okay.
I would certainly not hesitate to suggest funding stuff. She's asked us if there's anything we need, just let her know, so it's a perfect opportunity to do that.
And is the boardwalk something on our list?
No. Mm-mm. I mean, she's offered things like if we need extra signage or some help from their crew as far as removing brush around the sites and things like that, but the boardwalk's a little bit of a bigger plan deal.
I think that falls into like a grant as opposed to funding something.
Okay.
So I don't know, we could certainly ask.
And the, but,
Maybe we can connect it somehow to that electrical line that goes right through the city.
That actually is AT&T, and that's the internet
Oh,
going.
To your
over
house.
there.
right, so it's not ComEd.
Okay, moving on.
Prospect Heights Park District has decided to officially fund us.
How wonderful.
This year. Yay!
Hey.
Yeah, so it really is wonderful. It's really, really exciting and really great.
Do we know
So-
how much?
Yes, exactly. I can't tell you. It's like $6,500. It's whatever we asked for.
Very nice.
So does that go to the city and then get dispersed to us, or how does?
It's going to be worked out, yeah, between them. I believe that there's going to be some type of intergovernmental agreement.
Right,
some-
and, there's an intergovernmental,
There should
government,
be an intergovernmental agreement so
Yeah.
that you can work on the property.
right.
Okay,
I don't know if we're gonna
Funding.
put our budgets together. If,
Yeah.
We'll have to work that out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because there may be certain things where that you just purchase instead of through the city, you purchase through the park district. But we'll work that out.
It does include funding for one of the intern positions, so
Yes,
that's nice.
yes. Should we just, okay.
Moving on to the treasurer report.
Well, the funds are exactly the same as they were last month. We have $1,691.55 to spend before April 29th, May 1st,
May 1st.
May 1st. I know Dana's proposed a
Yeah, we.
way to spend
come up-
that.
I have indeed.
We-
So here's the list that we put together for everyone to review and approve. I sent it out, so you all,
We've actually made a very detailed list, an Excel spreadsheet that Maria helped with during one of the work days.
Right.
Where we just logged all of the tools, what we're missing, what we need, what,
Mm-hmm.
and things that, so.
so we're looking
What's
for two of the three-blade and two of the four-blade brush cutter blades. We're looking for 5 pairs of Fisker
New loppers.
loppers, the 25-inch variety, 2 of the 15-inch pruners. The Irwin stake flags are the red flags that we use for staking out everything. The the 5-pound commercial square string trimming line, that's for the string trimmers. We are looking for 2 20-inch bow saws, and then blades for the 23 and the 21-inch bow saws as well. 2 packs of the 6-inch heavy-duty galvanized garden stakes. And this is something new that Agnes came up with the warrior sedges.
Right, I've been
To
doing a
keep
lot
them
of
from
research.
washing away on the shoreline.
Right, so you can, I've done a lot of research recently about this, you know how we've had some of the plants wash away, especially at the shoreline
Yeah.
after we planted them. And so we've tried different things with, erosion control blankets and all of this, but staking them into the ground apparently works very well, and that's what they use up in Barrington. So I think we should give it a try, and they're just, regular stakes that can be removed later.
They're like heavy-duty galvanized U-shaped stakes, and you just stick them right on both sides of the plant and then pin it down to the ground. So-
Are they reusable?
Yeah, they're reusable.
Yeah, they're like for $15.
Right. Then we're asking for two of the Field King Max backpack sprayers. They have the highest rating of all the sprayers, so we thought we'd give those a try.
Does ours break down
Right.
after like every season? So
Yes. And
maybe
then
these won't.
2 of the Solo 4 gallons, which is what we always use. So that came to $930. That's all, everything is purchased on Amazon. Then we have Home Depot. This is the carp exclosure. So we're looking for 14 pieces of 1/2-inch rigid conduit, 10-foot, that we've cut into 3-foot sections, and then 8 1-inch chicken wire that's PVC coated green, so it just disappears, 25-foot rolls. That gives us roughly 200 feet of carp exclosure. The total on that is $393.94. And then forestry supply, we had two containers of surfactant and one container of Aquanit, aquatic herbicide. And that total was 171, so the grand total is $1,495.79.
Just to clarify, I mean, we're not using it as aquatic herbicide, it's just safe around wetlands. It's just like the rhodiola we were using, but Aquanit doesn't degrade in UV sunlight, so you can use it like on a sunny day instead of just waiting for a cloudy day like we did with the other stuff, and that's what Cook County uses too. And it's very safe it's obviously safe around aquatic areas.
Did you sent that to us, right, via email?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that would be used on Reed Canary, is that,
Yes, because it's grass specific.
okay. So,
Sorry, not grass specific. I'm talking about the rodeo. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not that. That's different. That's
Okay.
post. We have that. We
All
have the
right,
post.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, cattails, exactly, Peter. Thank you.
Well, it looked very comprehensive and responsible. We don't need a vote on it, though, do we?
I don't know.
We can agree.
Does everyone
I mean,
agree with
I-
those expenditures?
Yeah.
They seem
I would
reasonable to me.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a
Okay, then
question.
I'll send you that email, Peter. It has all the links built in, so I just click on them and,
Earlier,
Right.
when you were talking about Nature Speaks, you were talking about honorarium.
Mhm.
Who pays the honorarium?
the
Library.
library does.
And you were saying that there was one that was higher cost, they'll
Mm-hmm.
cover that. So they cover the regular cost plus the extra.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. And so now, our city budget presentation. So we've delivered the documents to Joe and Peter, and then I believe that there's some preliminary meetings, and then there's going to be final meetings. Peter, I don't know what our next step is. Yes. What is the next step for us as far as the budget, the city budget?
You've submitted your budget.
Yes.
Probably the next, if you're talking about presenting your budget, it'll probably be March 9th.
Okay.
Is that the second Monday of March? That's probably when it's going to be.
10th.
Joe or I, or both of us will reach out to you to let you know if it's going to be
Okay.
on the 9th or if it's going to be on the 23rd.
Okay. So right now, we don't need to do anything.
No, you
We're
submitted
fine.
your budget
Yep.
already, the dollar amount, which I think is 5,500.
Yes.
approximately,
Mm-hmm.
is which has been put into the budget proposal.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then I don't know what the comprehensive equipment,
Well, I think what I was referring to
Oh.
was what equipment we might need out of the next budget.
that we've,
Right. If the city approves the budget that we've requested, then that basically funds the two intern positions and leaves us roughly $2,000, or is it 4,000?
1,500, I think, something like that, yeah,
each
for
budget,
supplies.
For supplies
Not from
for
each
the
budget.
summer.
Yeah.
As far as power equipment goes, we're in really pretty good shape, so I would
Right.
think that a lot of that's going to go to
Soil.
soil in the greenhouse.
Supplies.
Supplies. We have two augers, so I think we're good there.
Things like, the oil and just regular string trimmer, string and things. We might need some more surfactant or dye or herbicide,
Yeah.
for sure. So those are all things.
All right.
Okay. Right, next is the Earth Day and Earth Week activities.
We've already discussed that a bit. So we have the speaker on the 22nd, and yet to be decided who that might be. The workday is on the 19th. So if you look at if we figure that our activities will start on the 19th and go through that week, we would look to plug in whatever other opportunities we want to have that day, or during that week. We've done site tours. certainly the meeting with residents around the lake to discuss the plantings and.
So that would be on the workday, the 19th, is that what we're saying?
Well, if we don't do it on the workday, maybe we
We
do
could
it
do
on
it
Friday
during-
morning or something.
Or Wednesday,
Well, I
or,
think you should do it in the evening for, I mean,
Evening.
it's going to be a weekday. We
Mhm.
Get more people in an evening.
Like a
rather-
Sure.
Wednesday evening then?
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right.
yeah, okay.
Let me take a look at the Wednesday.
Or any evening. Maybe. We'll see. When's the bird walk? Is that in that week?
That's, I thought that was in May. No,
Maybe
I have
it's
to
in
check
May.
the minutes.
Let's see, Wednesday is, would be the speaker, so that's a bad
Oh,
day.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So
We'll figure out a different day.
it's, could be Friday or Monday or, whatever anyone else thinks.
The workday is before that.
Yeah, the workday's on the 19th.
Wednesday speaker, well, maybe Friday, Friday evening, the 24th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Earth Day itself is the 22nd.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just Wednesday, okay.
Or Thursday, the 23rd, either like Thursday or Friday evening, I would think.
Friday evening, more people would probably be inclined to make that.
Why don't we say that?
All right, Friday evening?
Yeah.
Does that sound
Is
good?
everybody all right with it?
All right.
Okay.
President info. 6:30?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Should be late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be light.
Or 23.
All right, so just take a look at the rest of those days during that week. If anybody has any suggestions, we'd certainly listen to those, entertain them.
Excuse me.
When is Community Day this year?
That's the Community
June.
Day is the first Saturday in June.
Okay,
So I don't think that's going to be towards, like, the 6th, I think.
okay. Just- Okay. All right. Anything else about that week? Comments, suggestions, questions? No. All right, then let's move on to the civic meetings.
I've checked the website. I don't see another meeting scheduled yet for the ad hoc Willow Road Committee. McDonald Creek Commission canceled their January 28th meeting. They do not have a 2020 schedule posted, but if they follow past format, their next meeting would be Tuesday evening, 6:30 PM, February 25th. And the Park District Board meeting of March 24th has moved, March 24th has moved to March 31st.
Okay.
Regarding the creek, there are a lot of down trees in that creek these days. I don't know if anybody's noticed.
Which stretches?
Pretty much around Heron Pond, there's large trees laying across it. And with this last snowfall too, there's been another big dump of trees kind of starting.
Are they obstructing?
They're getting there, yeah.
If we know where they are, water reclamation.
Right.
has to report.
MWRD. Especially if they're obstructing, there's just a hotline that you call and they'll come out
Well,
and take care of
They're
it.
cutting across, water's getting under them, but, if more
Yeah.
debris starts
They're
building up,
blocking them.
yeah,
If they're blocking,
They
they'll
will-
remove
they
it.
will come in.
they're blocking.
Can you send that along, then, the hotline?
Okay,
So
To-
did that change? I
yeah.
mean, initially, we were submitting it to the municipality.
right, and then we had a contact information. When we were doing the Friends of McDonald Creek, we would do creek walks and submit any kind of blockages. And so we had a contact person that we would just email and do that. There was a form that you submit online, I believe, with the locations and things like that. But there's also, I'll forward everybody the information that is online. Mhm. And then we could figure out who can maybe do that, or if we maybe just forward it on to Public Works with the locations, and they could take care of it. But if it's blocking, it should certainly be
But
addressed.
that's water reclamation that does that. not
It is.
Public Works.
No, I know, but I'm saying that the chain of command, like, we notify Public Works about the blockages, they can let MWRD know,
That sounds reasonable.
right? Or
Peter,
if they
is there
want us
something in
to,
place that, for that sort of thing? I mean, would that be a?
just call
what's that?
Public Works.
Public Works.
Yeah,
Just let
okay.
them know, and they can,
If it's ours, we'll fix it. If it's Parks, Park will fix it. If it's not, then I think it's Water Reclamation District or
Yep.
somebody will take care of it.
Yep,
But no, Mark handles all this. Just call Public Works Academy.
Yep.
Okay.
all right. But I still will forward you just the information, just so you know. There's a lot of really great stuff on that website, too, for just public, for the public. Yeah.
well, so, just to clarify, the commission, the McDonald Creek Commission, are they supposed to be handling this, or us, or anybody, or like who?
It's anyone.
It's anybody who sees a tree
Yeah.
down?
Yeah,
Okay.
residents can.
Right. Just have to notify.
We should probably keep them in the loop as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Moving on then, the proactive nature management plans.
Peter, you had sent, passed on some thoughts to Jill.
Yeah. I know, the lake and the slough, there was a wellness plan. We really need to know what's going on in both the slough and the lake. And I don't know what ever became of that wellness, action plan as far as getting a study done. I think comprehensive monitoring should be done at least every 3 to 5 years. We have like a baseline already from the Hay report, but I don't know if we have to have, that in-depth of a report. But I think something should be done ideally, maybe every year, but at least I think it's 5 years now that the Hay report came out.
Yeah, it was in 15.
So, there's so much going on in the lake and the slough that we really don't know what's going on, fish.
Yeah, I mean,
aquatic
there's,
Plants. I think we know what's going on land-wise, but, as far as the water quality, the silt,
Well, did that fish report was that not helpful?
I don't think it was a very comprehensive. I think it was just like it was a free type report. I don't think it was meant to be a real detailed. We definitely need some good, hard data, I think, to go forward. To see exactly where we're going, because we don't know exactly what's in the lake or slough right now. And it's been 5 years, so I
I
think
mean,
it's-
they did the aquatic sampling at the lake and the fish in that recent report.
Right.
So we know what's in the lake. We haven't had any sort of sampling in the slough. As far as water quality, just doing water quality testing, it's something that we can do on our own. I know that those sort of, they're expensive.
Yeah, I don't know if IDNR, the
Yeah.
department, resources, if they do it on a regular basis, do we have them, or something's got to be established that we, instead of just waiting till a problem comes, we don't really know how to handle it. We don't know the facts or the data, and that's what I'm suggesting, that at least every 3 to 5 years, a real good study, and the same company, we use them. I'm not saying we have to use Hay again, but I think we really don't know what's going on in the slough or the lake.
So are you referring to the plant life and the fish life
Yes,
specifically?
the insects, the whole, everything that's going on in the
Okay.
lake. We really, and
It's
slough.
composition.
Yes, we really don't know what's going on in there. Things change quickly. Ideally, maybe 1 to 3 years, but at least every 5 years, I would recommend,
And then
some.
we'd have a baseline, too.
Exactly. And it's, we have a real good wellness plan that was in our master plan. I mean, everything is, the plants, the soil, water quality, wildlife, amphibians, birds, insects, everything was detailed really well. But we never really, or the city or us, never really followed through on that.
Right.
Well, I think that's a good idea. It's very much akin to the philosophy behind the Riverwatch work that we did, where we sampled macroorganisms yearly in the creek. And the benefit of that is it gave you an indication of whether the health of the creek was improving over time or deteriorating over time. And I think for that reason alone, it would be helpful to know, especially if we're trying to establish a return on investment for all the work that the commission is doing, to see that there are, you know, tangible data to back up our anecdotal claims of what we know is getting, you know, is improving. If the funding's available
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean,
So
something,
is this something that we can do ourselves?
No.
or- No, this is beyond our,
certain things we could do. We could certainly do macroinvertebrate sampling. We could do water quality sampling. There's testing kits, and, you know, I've done this before. And macroinvertebrate sampling we could do on our own. You know, we can monitor plants and insects. I mean, do butterfly sampling, things like that, and the birds. But if we're gonna, something like the hay report, that would have to be, you know, that would have to be issued, approved by the city council. We can make a recommendation to the city council
Well, maybe
that
we
there
could-
should be regular monitoring of the lake and the slough on a regular basis, and then they can decide.
does anybody remember what that hay reports cost?
A lot.
Yes.
And I know it's a lot, but
It's a lot.
See, I'm wondering
You're in-
if there's a way for us to do it more economically where it can be done. Granted, it would be nice to just have one entity do it and be done with it, but maybe a combination of some of the things that we could do, and then combine it with like the Department of Natural Resources do a fish count. And then maybe there's another agency that we could reach out to that would assist in the aquatic
Monitoring.
monitoring.
Well, I know when they did the fish survey, they actually do a little bit of the plant, not in great detail. They don't monitor every single area, but I know when IDNR came out, the fisheries division, they did also see the aquatic plants. And at that time, when this was several years ago, it was with the city and the NRC asked them to come out, and it wasn't a big problem for them to make time to do that. So, I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, even if it's in just some form of what we're doing, that's gotta be helpful than not. So, you know, maybe consider that as a part of our regular work to do, you know, annual testing of the macroinvertebrate. the
I think
water testing,
macroinvertebrate sampling is really beneficial.
you know.
My understanding is that amphibians are a good gauge of the health of an aquatic area. And I know we obviously have turtles and frogs, but I have no idea, you know, how it's changed from when we started till now. You know, and as we talked about getting a baseline, and I have no idea how we do that.
That requires that requires like netting, and it requires like a lot of expertise to be
Right.
able to like count that. I think, I don't know. I mean, if you look at something smaller, like the macroinvertebrates, there's actually like logs, and there's equations you could do, and it gives you a percentage point, and it's really exact, because they, you know, certain ones can only tolerate a certain water quality, and others, so, I mean,
Okay.
but I think to get a detailed turtle, and I mean, to get all that, that would require a lot. That wasn't even in the hay report.
Right.
It requires trapping and netting, and it's very complicated
And those expenses.
and thus expensive, yeah.
so what do we do?
I don't know.
Should we confer with the McDonald Creek Commission? Because, you know, the creek flows into the slough and the lake, just to have extra hands.
Well, maybe.
Maybe they have some resources, I don't know.
Would the IDNR come out again to do a
That's a
survey?
great question. Maybe a meeting with Peter and Joe to discuss this and see what the, maybe, like, we could meet or something and see what steps. No, like, me with you guys in the city to see, like, maybe we can,
Well, you can propose to the council that you want to do a report and you want them to budget it.
yeah.
I will let you know this, though, that we're already talking about cutting. So if you're talking about a hay report, how much was the hay report? I know that question was asked. Was it 5,000?
more,
Was it 10,000?
about, I think it was like 13.
So, you know, we're already talking to Jim and to Mark about looking at their budgets that they already proposed. And we're probably gonna have a cut day. The cut days, we go through and, you know, everything in the budget's important, but things are more important than other things. So if you're talking about an additional $10,000 in a report, that's something that you're gonna have to be an advocate for and get the council on board. Because $10,000 to another report on the lake and the slough or just the lake, that's gonna be $10,000 coming out of the police budget or the PW budget or our budget, so, or $10,000 less for capital improvements, so you can ask for it. So
What about if we, because, so I
I'll
don't,
tell you right now, I doubt, you can sit down and have a talk with Joe, but in the conversations
was-
we're having, we're not looking to spend an
Yeah.
extra $10,000 on a report.
so I was thinking more of like reaching out to IDNR because that fish survey was for free. But I think it's more appropriate for the city to ask for an IDNR survey of the slough.
Joe's in all this stuff, so if
Yeah.
you want to sit down with Joe, we can figure that out.
Or maybe the NRC could draft the letter, but I know that previously they've come out and done it for free. So maybe they'd be willing to do that again.
Well, we
Because
should
it's part of the
definitely explore
services of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And they also have a baseline of fish survey too of the area, so
They have several.
they have several. And I don't know what exactly the timeline is, like they may only do it every 10 years, so maybe it doesn't qualify, but maybe it does, it'd be worth an ask,
All our guys that we talked to.
right?
Well, I think we got to look at how we can do this as economically as possible, because
Well, certainly all
It's
the
not
things
gonna
that we've
happen.
outlined in the wellness portion of our original plan from 2016, we can certainly be more aggressive about that and log those, you know, we actually do, you know, more concerted effort to do the monitoring. So Seth has picked up the butterfly monitoring.
Yep.
He has those records. You
And
know,
we have the bird
maybe
monitoring,
everything
too.
Goes into the spreadsheet so that we can compare those annually. I think that's, you know, those are really valuable insights into how the paradigm is shifting. And so I think those are things that we could certainly make much more of a concerted effort to do.
I also, I know that there's organizations, like as far as aquatic sampling, I know that there's different botany groups that we can reach out to. They may be willing to come out in waders and have a day where they sample the slough and see what aquatic vegetation we have there. So maybe if we bring it all together, we can have certainly something, not exactly like that, but, we won't have bathymetric sampling of the depths of the water and everything that was included. But maybe we can do a better job at,
Maybe we can do that during Earth Week.
oh my gosh.
What I would do, Agnes, what I recommend is put together what you're thinking about.
Yes.
Just email Joe and myself.
Okay, great. And then we can go from
That'll
there.
start the conversation of this.
That's great. Let's do that. And I'll email all you guys and then, okay.
Okay, the other topic of discussion there was the possibility of looking at a tree ordinance. And Peter, I don't know, maybe you know this off the top of your head, if there are any?
There is none.
There are no tree.
I've recently found out that the Park District does have a tree ordinance, and they're working on a tree survey and re-updating their information, but they do have a tree ordinance, but the city does not have a tree ordinance. And I don't know if that's not something that we could, work on maybe and recommend to council about a tree ordinance. It's also something maybe we could,
You can recommend it. I'm not optimistic.
has it been suggested before?
No, but I know the residents of Prospect Heights. And when you start telling the residents of Prospect Heights that they can't cut down their own tree, it's
problem.
No, I think, Peter, what we're looking to do is protect like the 200-year-old oak trees. Yeah.
But if there's a 200-year-old tree on someone's property, they want to cut it down. Now the city's telling them not to cut it down. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just not optimistic on it.
Okay.
But there's plenty of, Glenview, I'm sure has one. There's plenty of
Yes.
North Shore towns that have tree ordinances.
Yes.
You can definitely look at one of those for an example of a tree ordinance and propose it to council.
Sure. And it could be a modified version too, so not necessarily that someone's denying a resident the ability to cut it down, but just that the resident is informed of the importance of the tree even. you know, these things can work in different ways, but if they're identified at least, because someone may not even know that this is a 300-year-old oak, they just think, oh my gosh, this is a big tree. It's worth a shot, right? It's worth, it's
Well,
worth,
well, I mentioned to you that I call the Arbor Foundation because I'm a member, and they gave me 2 resources to call, which was the urban forestry, and I forgot the other offhand. But I'm still willing to give them a call and ask.
okay.
Sure.
So that's also an email that I'll just send to you guys, just what we're thinking, and maybe in the future, we can present something to council.
It would have to be championed by the NRC. The staff's not gonna bring forward that ordinance, so, I mean, you'd have to,
Right.
talk to your, you have all the contact information for your alderman, so I would start there as well, do your homework, get a couple sample ordinances from some, especially, like I said, some North Shore towns, because you're gonna find a ton of them over there. Do your homework, get some of those, and then start speaking with your alderman.
Okay, so let's do a little homework and then start speaking with people and see if we can do some type of
Yeah,
recommendation.
we've already reached out to Glenview, and we're going to talk to Robin, who they have according to them, a very,
Very extensive, and these can get
Extensive and
very,
short.
very extensive, and they could be very detailed, but they can also be, yes, yeah, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like that, it can be very basic, and it could just try to protect some of those old heritage, really nice, trees that are really around. There's a handful really, but, I think if residents were made aware of it, maybe, that they have this really special thing on their property, they may just not.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
Has anything started on that property yet?
Okay, so, okay,
all right, so as a continuation of that, then, the matrix that is the sort of the master plan for each of the sites, I'm almost done with that, so at some point, I'll, put it out for you guys, and everybody can look at the work that's scheduled for the year. And then we can also, I'll just build into that the monitoring process for all those sites, and try to come up with some sort of a matrix that works in terms of how we do that. In
you
terms
guys can chime in.
of actually getting the monitoring done. That part we can, I'm sure, accomplish internally.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, the macroinvertebrate sampling is actually pretty fun. Just and it gets logged into a big database too, with the Riverwatch.
Okay.
Okay, announcements to the public.
I wanted to mention that the University of Illinois and the Forest Preserve District of Cook County have teamed for a program that recognizes people in their efforts to improve the environment and support habitats for wildlife. And we do have the website for more details. It has to do with the Illinois Extension Master Gardener Program. So some residents have a Conservation at Home sign in their yard, which means that they are integrating sustainable practices that contributes to clean water, rich soil, and ecosystems that support people and wildlife.
Nice.
Okay?
And where can they get more information about that?
You have
Yes,
the
by
website?
going to the website.
What is it?
And they have native landscape design workshops that are held in February, and natural lawn care workshops will start in the spring to educate gardeners on eco-friendly environments and the criteria required for certification.
What is the website?
extension.illinois.edu/cook/conservation home. All
So it's with
together.
the North Cook County Master Gardeners, and this is through the UIC Illinois Extension.
correct. But I'll put that in the minutes, too.
Okay.
Great.
I wanted to make an announcement to the public, too. I was just thinking of our mission as sort of very broadly about protecting the environment and little things that we can do. So I wanted to just tell you about a tiny little thing, and I know it's small, but it's sort of a way of thinking about how we can be good to our environment. So there was recently a picture in the newspaper there's a beach of an island in the Pacific, and nobody lives on this island. It's just the way the current comes, and the current sort of drops things off. And the beach on this island was just absolutely covered in plastic.
Oh,
And there's
my.
not a single person who lives on this island. And it makes me think about, what can we do to help our environment? So I'm going to tell you, my announcement to the public is just an example of one little thing that you can do. At Fresh Time, a supermarket right here on Rand Road, they sell, oh, and by the way, one of the things on the beach is toothbrushes. And if you think in Prospect Heights, let's just say, just picking out numbers, there's 17,000 people in Prospect Heights, and let's say people go through toothbrushes a year, that's 34,000 toothbrushes just in Prospect Heights. At Fresh Time, they sell, as an option, toothbrushes made out of bamboo handles. There's a different company that sells toothbrushes made out of recycled yogurt containers. And there's another toothbrush company makes toothbrushes out of plant-based biodegradable materials. The point is that you can get recyclable or reusable or, recyclable or biodegradable toothbrushes, whereas most everybody uses plastic toothbrushes nowadays. So there is an option out there. And like I said, I know this is something tiny, but it's just a way of thinking that if we get in the habit of these things, we can be better about protecting our environment.
Thank you,
Yay.
Seth. Yes, yes.
That's a good suggestion, thanks.
Thank you, Seth.
Okay, anything else? Visitors comments?
Visitor comments?
No, no visitors. Okay,
A motion to adjourn?
second.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting